All right, we are live. If it's live and it's Monday, that only means one thing. It's time for WCW Nitro. It's the one and only, the Black Avenger, Eric Bischoff, joined by the evil genius, Titus Machiavelli. Titus, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing my Mongo McMichael or my Eric Bischoff or whatever it's going to. I'll be Bobby the Brain Heenan because that's my hero after all. It's been several weeks since we've been here, so give me your attention. My name is Titus Machiavelli. I am the evil genius of professional wrestling, the very last American capitalist alive today. Do not adjust your computer. You've got Ebony and Ivory right here on your YouTube channel.
Awesome. Just awesome. Where the big boys play.
That's right. And every time I hear that, I always think of Kevin Nash. Check the adjective.
Yeah.
Play. We ain't here to play. That for me set the entire Nitro for that era. We ain't here to play. I hear you talking about it. I got to get down and watch more network and catch some of that old Nitro. I miss it, and I got to watch it, yeah, for sure.
Look, little trick, I don't know if it helps you what I've been doing, because I know you and me can relate on, like, hectic schedules. Like, if you have the time, you got that day off or two from work the next day, what I do, I make sure I do my thing with the family, and then, like, okay, I got about an hour in me. I start off with an hour. And each Nitro's like 45 minutes, and then like next thing I know, for me, it's been like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, and I've already burned through like at least 5 episodes of Nitro. I mean, look, I'm not, I don't want you guys thinking I'm a hardcore WCW fan, because there was actually a lot of stuff I missed the first go-round when WCW was still in existence. But for me to go back, Titus, and check out WCW almost from the beginning, I can't help but just look at what all they were doing early on and say, man, they had a really, really damn good product going on, until they started doing all that little silly stuff. One thing I thought was hilarious, though, I made it to 1995 Halloween Havoc, and like, the Yeti, the freaking, what the hell? You just the Yeti just comes up from behind Hulk Hogan as the Giant, aka the Big Show. He's already bear hugged him. Hulk Hogan's knocked out. You see the Yeti, he just comes up from behind Hulk Hogan. He just puts his hands on the shoulder, and he looks like he's dry humping Hulk Hogan. I'm like, what the hell is the Yeti doing?
Well, it can't be any worse than the last couple of weeks of the current version of Monday Night Raw.
Oh, God. I definitely want to talk about Raw. We'll talk about it, folks, but we got to just gradually, because it started off as a really good appetizer, but then when you get the full-course meal, there's just parts of it that kind of was, what about dessert? Is dessert at least going to be good? That's how it kind of felt like. We'll talk about Raw in just a little bit. As always, we appreciate you guys interacting with us. You can be a part of this. I actually saw some comments, Titus, right before we went on live, asking if we were going to do the phone call-in system. We haven't done the phone call-in in a good minute, and like one of the main reasons why, what I noticed, and me and Titus might differ on this one, but for me, I just noticed that like the same people would always call when we did have the phone lines open, and I wanted it to be about variety. And I just don't want it to get to that point where it's kind of like, man, we're always hearing from these people, and can we get, and then you got to worry about making sure that they have enough time to get their piece out. That's just, post the comments down below. Hit Titus up on Twitter at Evil Genius Titus. Hit us up at the RCWR Show. As we get ready to talk about Raw, Titus, a lot has happened since last we were on the air. One thing I definitely want to talk about off the break, because it is tied to the WWE. I didn't even think WWE was going to acknowledge her passing, but comedian slash entertainer Joan Rivers, who had passed away at the age of 80 due to complications of surgery. She went in to get her vocal cords corrected. It was some type of corrective surgery she was supposed to have. Normal procedure, but those of you that are familiar with Joan Rivers, you know she's had a history of going under the knife, and complications had happened. She didn't make it. I heard the funeral was just something to behold. They definitely did a really good job in carrying out her wishes as far as what she would want to happen at her funeral and all that. And if you're keeping track, I mean, Titus, Robbie Williams died about, what, 2 weeks ago almost? And, you know, now we lost another icon in Joan Rivers. And Joan Rivers definitely has had a very long-lasting relationship with the WWE. It goes as far back as WrestleMania 2, when they had made her be one of the special ring announcers. She had WWE superstars on her late-night talk show when she was doing her thing. And right on up almost to the very end, you know, she tried to always look out for the WWE. Definitely not going to be another one like her. I remember telling a story over the weekend, Titus, about how when I was a kid growing up, and I don't know how it was for you, but I remember those nights when after the news was off, we had the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and some nights my parents would allow me to stay up late, especially like on a Friday night, to check out Johnny Carson. But the nights where Johnny had took the night off and Joan Rivers was hosting, it was like this epic event you had to watch because you just weren't really sure what she was going to say, you know, because she just was a straight up shooter. She called it how she saw it. And the nights that Joan Rivers hosted the Tonight Show, my parents were like, sorry, you can't, here, watch Three's Company instead, or, you know, watch The Honeymooners. And it was kind of like, man, you know. And sometimes I'd sneak and, you know, I'd go see what was up because you had to watch it.
Wait, Honeymooners?
Yeah.
How old are you, Sanders? I mean, what the hell?
Well, for me, when I was living in Chicago, we had a station called Superstation 66, and they would show like all the retros on that channel. They would show Three's Company, they showed The Honeymooners, they showed The Odd Couple, WKRP in Cincinnati. That's how I became a huge fan of Dr. Johnny Fever. Love that man. But that's how it was for me, man. What was your thoughts? What was the news for you, the way you took it in when you found out?
Well, you know, Joan Rivers played a big part of the early part of the WWE. When you look at 1985, they talked about it tonight on Raw. Her having Hulk Hogan on the Tonight Show with her, it did bring WWF to the mainstream. It brought it to the table, and she had a big part of that. And so, her being part of WrestleMania 2, and it's been quite a few years since she's had any involvement with WWE, but she was integral at the beginning portion of the rock and wrestling era of professional wrestling, and it is a big loss, not only for the wrestling world but the entertainment world as well. She always did speak her mind. Whether you agreed with her or not was irrelevant. You knew where you stood when you were talking with her, and that's what you want from somebody. You don't have to agree with them politically, you don't have to agree with them socially, you don't have to agree with them on anything, but if they talk to you, you know where you stand, and that's what you got with Joan Rivers. You always knew what was on her mind, one way or the other.
Indeed. A true trailblazer, too, a pioneer for all the women that would come before her, or correction, after her, as far as comedians, entertainment goes. You know, a lot of people, they want to look at Rosie O'Donnell, they want to look at Roseanne, they want to look at Ellen DeGeneres. You got everything, folks.
It all falls back to Joan.
Yeah, all goes back to Joan Rivers. And then, of course, the other piece of news that we have found out about, and, you know, I just got to say this off the break. I appreciate it when you guys try to let me know about something you think is breaking news, but you don't have to send an email to me. You know, 9 times out of 10, I probably already know about it. If anything, you could put a tweet. If you're following Titus or me on Twitter, you can tweet us the information. we have the YouTube channel. You can post a comment, or you can hit us up on the Facebook page. There's no reason to send an email to us, but we do appreciate it. But that's not what our email is designed for, unfortunately. But Titus, the news of WWE Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts once again seems to be battling cancer. I don't know how many of you were aware of this, but what was supposed to be, he went to the hospital, and he was originally diagnosed with having double pneumonia, and doctors have found a mass around his brain area, around the back of his head area. They thought that maybe the swelling was the result of all the bumps that he took in the years of being in the ring. Well, it just gets more worse for Jake Roberts, as the doctors have found out what was going on in his chest. They did find pneumonia and all that, but they also have found cancer. And Jake, that's one tough son of a bitch, Titus. This guy, somehow he was able to gather up the strength. He goes to Las Vegas to, I think it was a FSW event that had came about, and he first broke the news to the fans there, told them that, you know, he was diagnosed with cancer. They found it. And here's a guy, Titus, you just go back a couple of months ago, and they have found cancer the size of a $half-dollar coin on the back of his ankle, that close to touching his nerves and all that, nervous system and all that, and they removed it. Then you go a little bit before that, you know, he was doing this thing with DDP Yoga, trying to just get his life back on track. Titus, it just seems like every time this guy takes a step forward, he's going in that right path. It just seems like there is some type of a dark force that's just trying to pull him back. But I tell you, he definitely has my prayers and nothing but the best. I want for him to beat this thing, man.
Well, for me, if you look at somebody who's in the not to get too religious on you, but it's someone who's in the will of God. The devil's going to be after him 100%. Jake's a man of great faith, as he said over the weekend. I just was talking with somebody on Twitter, and if anyone can deal with this, that is Jake Roberts. He's a tough son of a bitch, just like you said he is. The great thing about Jake is the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts, and being able to see him really change his life and be back in the WWE and be in the Hall of Fame. I think that's been the best part of that's been, for me, one of the best parts of 2014 is just to see that moment happen, because honestly and truly, most of us never expected it to happen. We know the dark side of Jake. Yeah, it's been rough, but I think he's capable of dealing with it. I mean, look, cancer should be easy for Jake, considering all the other demons he has destroyed over the years. So he's tough enough to handle it. I wish him the best. I pray for the best, and I know that the entire WWE universe, the wrestling world, does as well.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to try to lighten the mood up. We're sorry to hit you with all that heaviness, but I mean, we're telling you, a lot has happened since last we were on the air. I know me and Titus, we didn't do a show last week for you guys, and it's actually good we did not do a show last week because...
Well, the show. Let me recap the show that we didn't do last week. Raw was on. It sucked. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen. That would have been the show.
Yeah. That was a bad show last week.
I don't think there was a show last week.
Yeah, that was a bad... I'm glad we took that week off, respectively. We do have a sponsor, Titus, for tonight's episode. We definitely got to make sure we give them a nod. We got bills we got to pay. Express yourself the way you like, in writing, in pictures, or through nicely made videos. It's all about you and your experience, adventure, and time spent in the outdoors. I want you to hit up my friends at 4wdjournal.com. That's 4wdjournal.com. They make it very easy for you to share your tracks, track your journey, download the file from your favorite GPS, and upload it to your journal. They take care of all those bits and pieces to show your tracks on a nice map put together with some useful details about track and location. It's mobile friendly. You can upload it to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Really cool. Check it out. Best part, it's free. You got nothing to lose. For WDJournal.com. We definitely thank them for sponsoring us tonight, Titus. All right, let's talk about Raw, man. Where you want to begin?
Well, first and foremost, I got to throw a birthday wish to a guy who follows us. I'm going to mess his name up, I'm sure, but Nigel Foran's birthday is today. He's a listener of the show. He follows us on Twitter. I told him I would give him a special birthday shout-out. Happy birthday, Nigel. At least you got your birthday present was a pretty decent Raw. There you go. A pretty decent Raw. What you say, Lee?
Birthday boy, huh? Nigel, let us know what shirt size you wear, buddy. We'll sing you RCWR Show shirt. That's how we'll make it up to him. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty decent package that he got tonight with Raw. I mean, like I said, there was a couple of areas that was a little, I liked the way they welcomed us. And I mean, if we're going to be throwing this whole season finale, season premiere, well, then maybe the RCWR show should have a season premiere in 2 weeks or something like that. I get it, but I just think it's kind of silly because it's like we never get reruns of Raw, But I love the opener, Titus. Chris Jericho taking on Bray Wyatt, steel cage match. That was a damn good rubber match.
Well, it definitely set up what was going to be I expected a really good Raw based upon last week's Raw, which was, I think, the worst Raw of the year. You have nothing but up to go, and they set a really good pace. That was a pay-per-view style matchup in every way. It brought great wrestling, great drama. It was a well-executed opening match. And you got it for free as opposed to watching it for $9.99 on the WWE Network. But yeah, great match. Anybody who gives Y2J any crap as a part-time wrestler, and you guys know, if you've listened to this show for a minute, I do have my issues with a part-time wrestler. However, Chris Jericho is the exception. A man at his age, his distinction, his place in the world right now, to get on the top of that cage, shrug and dive off, has got massive grapefruits and gets massive respect from me. Incredible to see Y2J do that crossbody at the top of the cage. It set the tone for the whole show. And I'm a big, what we would call in the industry, curtain jerk. They opened the match up, and for me, it's one of the most important matches of the entire card, no matter what card it is, because it definitely sets the tone for the whole evening, and they set a good tone.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, I was actually like at the edge of my bed when I saw Chris Jericho do that jump from the top of the steel cage, because I'm saying to myself, my God, dude, you're like, what, 44 going on 45? Are you sure you can do this now? And then when I see him land, I'm legitimately thinking, okay, either he really hurt himself or he's just doing a good job selling the hell out of that.
He sold the hell out of that.
Yeah,
he had me buying. I bought.
He got me, especially like when he just started peeling off the layers of his knee pad. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of layers. And then it really kind of kicked in. Well, of course he's going to have a lot of layers because he just took that damn bump from the top of the cage. It's like, okay, all right, I think he's okay.
It's all that DDP yoga. It really works, clearly.
Yeah.
When you're in your 40s, you can jump off. There's the catchphrase for DDP yoga. It's no longer not your mama's yoga. DDP yoga can jump off top of a steel cage yoga. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Bray Wyatt picked up the win, didn't he?
Bray Wyatt did, in a very dramatic way. They were fighting their way out of the cage, and he rolls over and
great finish.
Gets the win.
That was a great finish. I haven't seen anything like that before. I'd have to go back and look at the cage history, but I've never seen a finish like that before. Can you recall?
it was unique. It was different, and no, I can't think of anything quite like that. So kudos to both to Bray and Jericho and whoever worked on the match behind the scenes. It was very well laid out. It was very well designed, and the execution was perfect.
It was, especially with the camera angles too that they were shooting. I love that new perspective that they were giving us as those two guys were going at it. I thought that was kind of cool, but at the same time, I kind of felt a little bad for the guys that were opposite of the steel cage that weren't in front of the hard cameras, because it's like, okay, they have no choice but to look at the Titantron. Raw emulated from Baltimore, Maryland. The last time Raw had came to Baltimore, it was for Old School Night, which was the return of Jake Roberts. That was earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. Titus, if you remember how that Old School edition was, as it was in Baltimore, how did you think the crowd did tonight compared to back then? Because they definitely, I still remember vividly, because I remember bashing the hell out of Baltimore, and I'm from Maryland. Our show's based out here in Maryland, so I definitely thought that the crowd overall, though they were kind of, I had to remind myself there was a crowd there tonight, they seem to be more lively than the Old School edition. Would you agree with this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, other than the obligatory CM Punk chant with AJ Lee out there, which, again, you're morons when you do that. I mean, I love everybody. I love you guys, but it makes you sound stupid when you cheer for CM Punk because he's not at home cheering for you. But a good crowd, seemed to be interested, didn't get anybody, no one was distracted, nobody was making chants for Jerry, then Michael Cole, then JBL, then Macho Man, then they were focused in on the show. Good show overall. So they had reason to pay attention, but they were maybe they're a little subdued. The Baltimore crowd is taking a little bit of a hammering over the weekend, and so maybe they're just a little bit more subdued based upon recent Raven, issues.
Yeah.
Did John Cena actually use the word wife beater in Baltimore tonight?
Yes, he did. I can't believe he actually.
I don't think he actually meant it. I think it was just two guys out in the crowd with wife beaters on. But with Ray Rice and all that, I mean, was it not just an interesting? I guess it was timing. Anyways, we'll get to that part later, I guess.
No, look, we're talking about wife beaters. We might as well talk about that now. I mean, for me, I was at work, and I was actually getting ready to wrap it up for the day, and one of my coworkers go, "Oh my God, Lee, did you see the Ray Rice video?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" Like, dude, they released the footage finally of Ray Rice knocking out his wife, then fiance. I'm like, okay. Well, the NFL, they just suspended him indefinitely. I'm like, okay. Dude, have you ever seen the footage? I'm like, no. Well, they just released it. You got to watch. So, like, me and, like, all of a sudden there was, like, 8 guys. We're all just huddled around my phone, and I'm, like, just playing the damn thing. And my heart just, somebody had the audacity to say, so it's okay for a woman to verbally provoke a guy and maybe rough him up a little bit physically, and it's okay for her to do that, but when a guy knocks out a woman and I'm like, don't even go there, because that's an argument that you're going to lose. It could have been the woman knocking out Ray Rice, and some people, Titus, might have, they might, oh, that's pretty funny, but when it's all said and done, domestic abuse is domestic abuse. Male, female, it don't matter. It don't matter who provoked who. When you put your hands on the person that you say you love and you care about, that just kind of makes things just kind of go, maybe we should reevaluate this relationship. And I'm sure a lot of you sports fans that's out there, especially you football fans, are probably looking at this. You're probably thinking the same thing that me and Titus are thinking, which is, okay, number one, how long has the NFL known about this video footage? I mean, they're trying to cover their asses. They're saying that when they initially made their inquiries that, they weren't aware of this video footage, that they were told that all the evidence that was accounted for at the time. They didn't. The police, the authorities, they didn't mention anything about a damn video. So, you know, do we believe that, or somebody? There's what the NFL is saying, and of course, there's going to be what the police is going to be saying, and then there's the truth, and everybody has their own different versions of what happened. But Titus, the indefinite suspension, it doesn't surprise me. It should have happened a long time ago. Enough said.
Well, I believe my wife and I had a real serious discussion about it tonight, and my wife is known for saying that her woman card is going to be revoked for some of her comments from time to time, because she, for her, what you said is right. Abuse is abuse, whether it's a man or a woman. There should be no difference. I mean, if we're all equal, in a woman can do anything a man can do, and a man can do anything a woman can do. If Ronda Rousey punched her husband and knocked him out, she should lose her career. It's a hard thing to say. Should a person be, have their whole life ruined because of a mistake? We don't know what this is. And I'm going to be fair and balanced for a second. Is this a one-time thing? I saw the video, and I just watched it again as you were talking. Boy, he went to it pretty quick, so I have a hard time swallowing it was the first time I've ever done anything like that line. I've had some nice arguments with my wife. No, we've not beaten each other up. But you get into a moment. Sometimes people do things, both men and women. Should a person's career be destroyed because of a one-time incident? No, I think people have the ability to get themselves back. I don't think Ray Rice is a first-timer here. I think this is he went to that punch really quick, and he does not deserve the right to play in the NFL. If it is if he has the ability to have, and we're talking about Jake Roberts and all the things that Jake had done. There's some people who would say that his actions are not much better, and when he's abandoned his family and the things that are well known that Jake has done. But salvation is something that we all seek, and redemption. And I hope for Ray Rice's sake that he can find salvation and redemption, not because I want him back in the NFL. Frankly, I'm a Bears fan, and I don't care about Ray Rice, but I want him to have salvation and redemption as a man, as a human being, and as a child of God. I think he deserves the opportunity to prove that to himself, as we all do. So hopefully he can do that. He just doesn't deserve the. It's a privilege to participate in the NFL. It's a privilege to participate in all the things that we do, and it's not a guaranteed right. And his career is over. It needs to be at this point, but doesn't mean that 2-3 years down the line he has the ability to come back. Michael Vick proved that. If Michael Vick can come back from all the things he's done, so can Ray Rice. So hopefully he finds his salvation.
Good words right there. I hope so too. And watch that video again, Titus, and those of you that maybe didn't watch it, or now that I'm putting this out there, look at the lack of respect he shows this woman that eventually he's supposed to marry after he knocks her out, and she's just belly up or whatever, and her butt is just all out there, panties and and all that, and it's like, he doesn't even try to, rush and, cover that up, and it's lack of respect for women.
Lack of respect.
Just really radiated off of that,
which is why I don't think it was it was something that, was a first time.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real for a second. Put yourself in that situation. You've just punched a woman that you love. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen to me. I'm not saying that because I don't know. I don't know.
Unless we're not,
But at that moment that I've done it, and it's the one and only time it's ever happened, and you come out of that, whatever happened to you, and you made you do that, you're gonna go, holy crap, what did I just do? And you're gonna fall to your knee, and you're gonna go down and try to, are you okay? Oh my God, I'm so. No, he didn't show any of that.
Nah.
So I hate to use it's thrown around a lot, thug, but that's a sign of a thug right there. That video's a thug, and he needs to be treated as such. But again, I do hope that he has, the ability to be unthugged, if that's a word.
You say that, I'm thinking basic thugonomics. How about that Paul Heyman promo there?
Oh, nice segue. Good way to get out of that. We got to keep positive here. Honest and truly, that was. I love where John Cena is right now. I love where he's at. Not goofy. Not He is very serious. He is very focused. His promos through the last, I'd say, 2 months have been picture perfect. And then you put him with a man talented like Paul Heyman, and magic happened tonight. I'm a Star Wars geek. That was a Darth Vader, who's right there behind you, a Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker moment. Join the dark side. We have cookies. Come on over.
Right. That was exactly the way I kind of picked that up. It was a really good promo by Paul Heyman. It's like, come to the dark side. You want to give in. Give into it. Come on, just for one night. You hear the crowd. You hear them chanting, Cena sucks. Let them have it just this one time. And it looked like he was going to crack. I love how Paul Heyman said to John Cena, Titus, look, my client Brock Lesnar, he granted me the okay to come out here and tell you how you can defeat him, which is basically go to the dark side, go that ugly route. And John Cena, doing the best Christopher Reeve Superman impersonation that he can, basically saying no, he's not going to do it. And instead, he remained very diligent and says to Heyman, look, you go run to your boy Lesnar. If he's got the kahunas, show up next week, look at him face to face, and what's that? That's going to be the final Raw before Night of Champions, right? Because we're 2 weeks out.
It'll be the go home episode before the pay-per-view, and what I really liked about the promo is I really felt it was John Cena the man, not John Cena the character. We have to separate the two sometimes, because when he was talking about Make-A-Wish, the honor it must be to be him in that aspect, to have a child go, I have one and one wish only, I want to meet John Cena. You could hear in his voice a little bit of some emotion build up. And then when we talked about some of the soldiers, some of the heroes that we have, that he's had the privilege to meet, you could hear the crack in his voice. And that was John Cena the man, not John Cena the character. And you guys can hate John Cena all you want, the character. You can yell Cena sucks all you want, because that's part of the show. But it's really tough to say John Cena the man sucks. And I hate John Cena the man, because I tell you what, that's a man right there. Yeah. Not Ray Rice. This is the opposite side. This is somebody who, I think he does a great thing for kids, does a great thing for soldiers. He probably doesn't do Nikki Bella very well on Total Divas, because he won't marry her and give her kids. But, yes, I am a Total Divas fan. I admit it.
And shout out to Devin, who says this is not the NFL. Dude, we do not even claim nowhere that we're an NFL show. What we try to do over here, we try not to insult you all's intelligence. We know that there's a lot of you guys, and I actually check out the analytics for the show and all that at the back end of YouTube. So I can see the age demographics, Titus, of like the typical age range of the people that check out our stuff. I can see the percentage of the males and the females. So I know what we can get away talking about, okay? And that's just something that, just how we had to acknowledge what was up with Joan Rivers, Jake the Snake Roberts. We definitely had to go there. I would be a fool to not go there. I live in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and for me to not talk about it as Raw emulated from Baltimore, Maryland. I mean, you kind of got to put 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, and it equals, if you don't like it, it's okay, but just respect where we're coming from. Another thing, you're new. I would highly encourage you to, poke your head through our content, and you'll kind of get a nice idea about, oh, I see what these guys are about. They kind of go a little bit everywhere. We got a little bit of something for everybody. Me and Titus.
I suffer from ADHD, ABCYXOP. Look at the kitty over there. It's really neat. I'm all over the place. But that's because I've been hit in the head with a steel chair, and I have the ability to take that as an excuse.
Moving right along. Let's address the elephant out of in the room, because I'm like looking at a lot of the comments. A lot of the folks are like I'm picking up the vibe. They want us to talk about it. I put a very good tweet about the segment, the Jerry Springer segment. I'm a couple of years away from 35, and I got to tell you, I felt like I went back to being a 15-year. I felt like the hands of time went back 20 years in a bad way, and I felt my IQ just drop. It was like whatever I accomplished in almost the past 20 years, I went right back down to ground zero watching that Jerry Springer Bella segment.
Did they actually introduce their brother as J.J. Bella? And he have his own little theme music come on? I mean, come on, really. I went into this having expectations, and this met my expectations, which were this segment is going to suck. And it did. The problem is WWE is invested in this storyline. They've broken the Bella twins up. They're in. So we're gonna have to go through it all, because if they end it on a dime, well, we're gonna complain because it ended on a dime. So we have to go through it, and hopefully they can. I think, dare I even say this, the acting on the Bella's part was a little bit better than it's been. Although Brie's really bad, Nikki wasn't so bad. I'm beginning to believe Nikki more and more and more every single week. Brie, she is either a 10 or a 1. She's either talking soft or she's talking at 100%. She has got no range. I don't buy into her. The Jerry segment was exactly what you expected it to be. Girls fighting on top of each other, Stephanie mixed into the whole thing. The bodyguard, what the hell he was doing there when he didn't actually get involved in anything. It was a badly done segment trying to spoof off on a Jerry Springer television program. It was what they wanted it to be, I think. It hit everything they wanted. I just don't think it played well with the fans. It didn't play well. It became too. We as fans took it a little bit more serious than that they meant it.
Let me hit you from that left side of thinking for a little bit here, and I might be reaching here, but I think I might be on to something. Do you think and anybody that doesn't know this, go do your own homework after I put this out. Do you think that maybe this was the WWE's way of acknowledging a certain article or open letter that one Vince Russo had pinned to the WWE, basically telling them, look, you guys need to go back to basics when it comes to writing these shows. What happened to that time in the WWE where you guys always challenged yourselves with the writing? If something didn't seem right, you guys just kept pushing yourselves and pushing yourselves and pushing yourselves from within, not because of what WCW was doing and all that, but they just kept, you had that great team back in the day that just kept pushing each other, and then it was like, okay, we hit a home run with this show. Can we top this? Because that was their mentality. Let's top what we did last week. Do you think that maybe certain people in WWE kind of took note of that article and, maybe because it just felt so Vince Russo-ish, but at the same time, I'm just saying in my heart of hearts, and I might be giving more props to Russo than what he needs, but I'm looking at this segment, Titus, and I'm saying to myself, okay, it's so Vince Russo, but Vince Russo would have done better than this crap that we got.
I think Russo would have done exactly the crap we got there. All right, I'm gonna throw a right cross right there, and I think that Vince Russo takes more credit for the successes of his time frame than he deserves. Because let's put some real truth here for a second. Vince Russo was part of the Attitude Era, was writing for WWE, left, went to WCW, killed that company with help, went to TNA, did nothing for that company there. So what is the difference between the WCW and TNA Russo and the WWE Russo? Vince McMahon. That's the difference. So for Russo to take a lot more credit for things for every report, good or bad, shows that McMahon is always had his hands in everything that's gone on. You know, I think that Vince McMahon should get more credit than Vince Russo. It may be his words, but it was McMahon's ideas. But this is what I believe. Let's be real here. Vince Russo created Oklahoma as a spoof of Jim Ross. Okay, so we can't sit there and say that he would do something better than this, because I think this was better than Oklahoma. Let's not forget that. You know, I don't know if WWE gives a lot of credence to what did Vince Russo say about us today. I mean, I think we're enough years detached that maybe the writing crew doesn't even. Some of them don't even know who Vince Russo was. Let's be real. Yeah. It's been enough years behind there. I think it was a poorly planned segment. I think it's probably pulled off maybe in haste because they were hoping for Michael Sam to be on there. That blew up in their face, so they moved on quickly and brought in Jerry Springer, who was probably a week or two down the road. They expedited it earlier, so we got what we got. I think we've already probably spent more time on it than necessary.
You know, I just had nostalgia as I was watching that Jerry Springer segment. I was picturing Maury. Dylan, you said to Karen that you did not sleep with her sister. You said no, the lie detector determined that was a lie.
You know the sad thing about this segment, though, Lee, is I'm watching Raw, and I'm seeing great matches by Bray Wyatt and Y2J. I'm seeing a great segment with Heyman and John Cena. I see Lana on my TV, which of course I always love. I see a great promo for NXT, and that segment led to the demise of the entire rest of the show.
It really
everything else died. Really I'm watching Raw going, this is a solid 8. This is an 8, and if this main event pulls off what I think it can pull off, this could be an 8.5. What a comeback from the worst Raw of 2014 last week. What a comeback, and that segment in my mind brought it from an 8 to a 7 because it just went downhill. We had a terrible match that followed with the Dust Brothers, Goldust Stardust versus the El Matadors. That was
Oh, that's who that was? I thought that was the American Males.
Right. Followed that with O'Neal and Adam Rose. And, of course, the Bunny does a super kick. So every young wrestler out there, if you're a young guy coming up in this business, do yourself a favor. Pull the super kick out of your repertoire. If the Bunny can do it, anybody can do it. And mark my words, right here, Lee, right here, September the 9th. All right, it's right now the 9th now. We've switched to Eastern Standard Time. that bunny is Justin Gabriel. That's my prediction right here on the show. The bunny will turn out to be Justin Gabriel. Okay? That's just my instincts. So we'll see how good I am. And if I'm wrong, I may be retiring from this program because I may have lost all credibility. But follow that. That's what the O'Neal. And then the main event was, except for the ending, it was subpar. We had 2 long commercial breaks in the main event. So everything from the Springer episode on was all downhill.
Yeah.
Everything. We had some great stuff tonight. We saw a phenomenal match with NXT tonight. A tremendous matchup, a great promo into the NXT takeover. Kenta is going to be on. We're going to see his debut. That's going to be huge. They actually sold NXT better tonight than they sold Night of Champions in my mind. Great match. My wife, who really doesn't watch NXT, doesn't pay a whole lot, she was sitting with me tonight watching most of Raw. When she saw Adrian Neville do his 360, what a move he did. She caught her eye from a casual, I watch it with my husband perspective to, oh my God, that was awesome. So what a moment in that NXT tonight. Tremendous. If you're not watching NXT, there is something wrong with you because it's good wrestling, and that should make you really be excited for the next couple of years. Because I could name you 5, 6, maybe 7 people right now off of NXT who actually belong on the main roster on Raw.
That's a good segue, too, because I had promised our listeners that we were going to bring this up because I want to pick your brain on it. It's all you. I didn't even talk about it. I just want you to go ahead and marinate on it and go in depth for the folks. But we're looking at the NXT TakeOver. We're going to see Charlotte defend that NXT women's title against Bayley. A lot of people are expecting Bayley to get the title, thus setting up Charlotte to maybe be managered by her dad and come up the main roster. The question that I was thinking of, I want to pose it to you. We know that we got Charlotte coming, Sasha Banks without a doubt, maybe even Alexa Bliss, Kylie O'Reilly. But here's my whole thing. If you were in charge of the WWE booking and all that, talent relations and all that, which knockouts or male superstars would you remove from main WWE programming, either stick them on NXT to help them fine-tune the NXT roster, or you just maybe have them do some PR work, behind-the-scenes stuff or whatever? Who would you get rid of in place of key NXT stars you want to see up on the main roster?
First off, if you're addressing the Diva division, I think that there's a couple of places that maybe you cut out, and I've said this over the past couple of weeks and maybe a couple of months now. I get rid of Cameron. I get rid of Rosa Mendez. If you don't do something with Alicia Fox soon, you might want to just cut ties there because you've got this plethora, and do your Googling, kids, plethora of talent in the Divas division. You could easily put Sasha Banks and Charlotte into the main roster and move on by just cutting a couple of people out of there. What divas go down? I think you've already seen that with Natty. I think that's Natty's job. She is the veteran, and they treat her as such. So she's bouncing up and down between the two rosters. As to your question about Charlotte, I don't think Charlotte drops the title. I'll just be real. There's no place for her right now in the Divas division. There's no place for her in the in the storyline. It's about Nikki. It's about AJ. It's about Paige. You've already got a fairly crowded main event Divas storyline right now. I think it does an injustice to Charlotte to bring her up now. Leave her there for a few more months. What's it going to hurt? It means she's top dog down at NXT a little bit longer. gets her a little bit more. And let's be real, Charlotte has not been wrestling, but for a short period of time anyways. So we can do another 6 months with her NXT, bring her along a little further, enhance her abilities a little bit more, and then you can work out the current storyline. Because remember, we're invested now with the Bellas. Nikki's in the title hunt now with Nia Champions, along with this great little AJ and Paige thing where I'm crazier than you, no, I'm crazier than you thing going on, which I really love. I would at least leave Charlotte where she is for a little bit longer. It benefits her by not bringing her up too fast. As for the men's side, who couldn't you bring up? Sami Zayn was as great as always tonight. Adrian Neville's tremendous. Tyler Breeze he's truly ready for Raw. I think his biggest issue is going to be that the comparisons between him and Dolph Ziggler. I think there's too many comparisons there. The Ascension is sitting right. I think the Ascension's the next people to come up as soon as we work through the current tag team deal with Stardust and Goldust. The Ascension is right there. They're ready, and they need to come up soon before they're forgotten about. So there's a ton of male talent. Who do you send down? I think you've already sent down the right guys. You've got William Regal down there doing what he does for WWE. You've had JBL down there. I think you could just continue to do the veterans. I think that's the right answer. The guys who've been around the block for 20 years, who know how to do what they need to do. I would love to see more involvement from the Hall of Famers in NXT. Imagine with a training segment with Hulk Hogan, with Ric Flair, with Roddy Piper, having those guys do just some spots. And I think you've seen Hogan go down there a little bit. I think Flair has as well. Yes, but more of those the Hall of Famers who can actually say, this is what it's like on the big stage, and what it's been when I'm on top and on the back end, and what you need to be aware of. I think that's good for all sports. I think you need the MLB, the NFL, the NBA. They ought to incorporate those Hall of Famers, those top stars in with those rookies, because it can help them better understand life on the road, life doing what you do on a high level. You're going to make a ton of money, but you're going to spend a ton of money, and it's a balance of not doing too much of it. You're going to have women in parties, but not too many. I think that's always going to be a positive thing. So if I was to send anybody down, I would continue to send down legends from the Hall of Fame. I think that's invaluable. Jake Roberts, with his ability to talk, his ability to just do what Jake does. When he was as big as Hulk Hogan, but they didn't want him to be as he was naturally as big with the fans as Hulk Hogan was. They just downplayed him so badly because they didn't want him overshadowing Hogan. His psychological side of the business is tremendous, and he could get a 2-3 hour seminar would be worth a year in the ring.
It would. Just thinking about what we've been seeing with Raw the past further, and just looking at all the recent WWE programming we've been getting, it just kind of comes off as if we're officially in this era with the WWE of I am woman, hear me roar, because we see Total Divas. That's really just been the past couple of years. It's just been more and more in your face. Ratings are good, and WWE is just really getting behind that. They're making sure that the divas associated with that show, they're getting camera time, even though half the damn time they aren't wrestling nowadays. You got what's going on with the Bellas. Now the Bellas are kind of overshadowing Paige as the Divas champion. Paige's problem was she just wasn't really getting over as a baby face. Well, what do? You add in a new element, you put AJ Lee in there, then you do the flip, you give her the belt back, but now it kind of seems like she's getting, I don't want to say buried, that's too strong of a word, more lost in the shuffle is the right word that comes into mind with what's going on with the Bella Twins. Then you hear the stuff about Stephanie McMahon and how she wants to have the Divas have a more dominant role, right down to the point that we saw Renee Young get promoted. She's now the new lead by lead woman for WWE Superstars. We see her alternating on NXT with the commentating. I mean, this could be a woman Titus that we could be seeing in a few years that could join either the SmackDown or Raw broadcast team. It just really seems like we're in this Iron Woman, Hear Me Roar era. My question to you, not everything about this Hear Me Roar is good. I mean, you know, you can't keep having the fans, especially those that are there in attendance, sit through this. It's just not fair, especially when things aren't clicking. I'm all for, okay, let's just let them work it out. Maybe they can get the kinks out, but that's the thing. They've had so many chances week after week after week. I got to speak for those fans that feel like what's going on with these Bellas and every other little segment that is just buzzkill, is it ever going to stop?
Well, you're looking at a hierarchy in professional wrestling. You most definitely have a hierarchy of the top and those that want to get to the top. And let's be real for a second. If the Bellas weren't selling, something, they wouldn't be at the top of the hierarchy, and they are. They're the top veterans. Everyone's underneath them. Now, the question that you have is because of who they're involved with? Maybe. I mean, one's married to Daniel Bryan, the other's dating John Cena. Boy, you couldn't get aligned any better with who you're with. However, let's also be fair to the Bellas. Their wrestling has improved over the last couple of years. I think they're actually better wrestlers having come back after their short stint away. I think they're just better at what they do. I think they are. Their acting, their promos, let's be real, they're not good. Nikki's a little bit better over the last couple of weeks, but they're not good. But that's not why people necessarily look at them. Let's be honest there too. I think some of the negative towards the Bellas has to play with Cena. I think there's a real backlash to Cena, so that will play into it. You're right. There has been some misdirection from the Diva champion, the AJ Lee. I agree. I think that we could have a separate storyline with the Bellas that doesn't involve the Divas title. I think you've crisscrossed them in a way that you probably shouldn't have. Imagine what WWE could have done with Total Divas 10 years ago.
Ooh.
With Trish Stratus and Lita and Terry Runnels and Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson. And imagine what we could have done with Total Divas 10 years ago. That would have been tremendous. Are the right people on Total Divas? No.
No.
Absolutely not. But does it do what E wants it to do? Yes. It's about drama. It's about creating, that Beverly Hills 90210 Dallas drama. Cameron is a drama queen. She's great at drama, and she fits that. The only reason she's probably not cut from WWE is because of that show. Eva Marie, same deal. Every time you see Eva Marie, it's drama. Something about her, and that's what Total Divas is. It's about drama. It's not about the realities of professional wrestling. Do the two mix together? Yeah. Should they? Probably not, but probably so. I'm all about the I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar if it's the right woman. I do not buy Renee Young. I'm not buying it. I think it's forced. I think it's being pushed on us a little bit more than it needs to be. I love Josh Matthews and his segments on the pre-show. I completely blew off the pre-show again tonight because I don't like what they've got going on now, though Renee Young isn't running that. She's clearly running the pay-per-view side of it. It's the right women in the right places. Same argument on the other side. The right men in the right places. So not against the I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar per se. I'm more against the forced version of it. That's what I'm thinking.
It really feels like in every single entertainment aspect across all the sports entertainment, it just really comes off like it's all about the hot woman. It's all about that hot brunette, or it's all about that hot blonde. I can't help but kind of just go back just a little tiny bit to football. I don't know how many of you guys are real football fans and you follow news like that, but take Pam Oliver, for example. 53 years of age. You wouldn't tell by looking at her. She's been demoted to basically being a sideline reporter for B games on Fox. She's no longer doing America's Game of the Week with Joe Buck, Troy Aikman. Instead, they got this hot blonde Erin Andrews. And then, you just look at that, and then, now that I'm saying that, just next time, just look at ESPN. Look at CBS. Just look at everybody. Everybody's got that hot chick, and it's kind of like that's the era we're in now, and it's unfortunate. I was telling somebody at work today, Titus, I said, damn, does it seem like every single time we get the Sunday Night Football on NBC, does it seem like each woman that they get singing the damn song, the skirt gets more higher and higher up? It's like it's starting to be about...
Now, be careful, because in the same breath, we're talking about the awesomeness of the Attitude Era, and I got to tell you, we didn't watch the bra and panties matches because Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah were in them. We were watching them because Trish Stratus and Lita were in them, right?
Yeah.
So it's a balance there. Sex sells. Sex is always sold. Sexuality, and if
yeah, but come on, dude. It's not. When's the last time we saw a guy that was doing some freaking sideline reporting?
Because he doesn't look good in the skirt.
And he stuffs a freaking sock down his pants to make it look like he's got the Incredible Hulk going on. You want to talk about sex appeal? Let's go there. I think it's kind of a little jaded here that, that...
Who are they marketing to? Who's the demographics of the WWE and Monday Night Football?
All right.
18 to 30-year-old male demographic. That's what it's always been for wrestling.
Yeah.
It is primarily based upon that demographic. Now more in the PG version of that demographic, because that 30-year-old man, that 40-year-old man that they've upped it to the 40s. That's me, because I've got the kids. But it's always been a man-dominated industry. And sex sells, and that's who they're going to sell it to. Tell me, aren't guys? There aren't guys. Dolph Ziggler's a good example of it that women are going gaga for. Yeah. Women love Dolph Ziggler. His push, I think, really plays the woman demo probably more than the IWC male fan. It's the women demos pushing that probably more than anything.
I agree with you about Renee Young, but at the same time, I see potential in her, all in due time, like maybe in about 5 years, but I don't even think, if we had to get her commentating for one of the main shows, I'd say, give her about 5 years, but I would not be surprised if in like 2 years...
she's not there.
Right, and it would kind of suck because what I'm seeing of her right now, she's okay. She's better than some of the people I've come across over the years. She doesn't beat Josh Matthews, but
she's not as bad as Mike Adamle. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Right?
She's not that bad. Yeah, she's better than Mike Adamle, definitely. Jamaican me crazy, definitely.
Right.
But I would rather see Stephanie McMahon do commentating, for real.
My concern with Renee is we're like I said, we're being force fed her, and I don't believe she's committed to the WWE. I think
Hell no. She's looking for the Comcast, the ESPN.
she's on ESPN. So you're taking 5 years. You're right. In 2, if she gets this chance, I think she'll be on ESPN. Of course she will. She'll be. Erin Andrews is gone. Renee Young's going to be the sideline reporter on Monday Night Football for ABC or wherever it's at these days. That's why I'm not buying it. I want wrestling people in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I want wrestling people. And I don't know if Renee is a wrestling person. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to see that. I would love to be proven wrong.
Talk about that main event real quick before we go to the comment section.
Well, before we do that, I want to acknowledge a great segment that was right after the Bray Wyatt Y2J Cage match, and that would be Dolph Ziggler. There was some bad mouthing of that segment, but I think Dolph Ziggler actually pulled off. Look, for all of you who said we need to push somebody different, Ziggler has the Intercontinental title. He's running with it. He hasn't gotten hurt. They gave him a segment, a promo time tonight, which he did very well with. The Miz was spot on heel, and finally we got Damian Sandow doing something that for me works, because he's that stunt double to the Miz. And if you watched it carefully, you need to go back if you missed this, Lee, every move that the Miz made, whether he was pointing with his right hand or moving his left hand, Sandow mimicked. Side by side, he was just watching everything he did because he's the quote-unquote stunt double. Damian Sandmiz, or whatever it is. I thought it was clever. It's very clever. I thought it was a very good segment. Plays into the whole celebrity news with the iCloud and all of that. I thought it was a great segment. Some people bashed it. I thought it was inventive. I thought it was tremendous that they gave him the opportunity to go out there and do it. And for everybody who wants, who yells Ziggler, that was your chance to see him, and he did very well. My opinion, that's all I have on that. Main event was really, I think, pretty lackluster. I think that the match with Roman Reigns and Randy Orton at SummerSlam was much, much better than this match. I think we took too many commercial breaks. The match got started about 20 minutes till. Two very long commercial breaks, and I think it bled over enough that it indicated that we were going to have some shenanigans. We did. Kane and Rollins came out. Steel cage comes down, and Roman Reigns gets annihilated by the Authority, including a curb stomp into the steel chair. I think we see a week or so without Roman Reigns. Should be to sell that. But once again, the Authority kind of closes the show, and we don't see Triple H. We're not seeing a lot of Triple H tonight, which is lately. So it's been unique. He just has a little segments. He's not coming out there and dominating the television program. So it's.
You know why? You know why?
What do you think?
Because he's thinking about that damn NXT special. He's saving all his energy for that bad boy. You know that's his baby.
Yeah, it is, and it's working. I'm all about the NXT. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Raw review. Good show. I'm gonna give it I'm gonna be generous and say 6.5. The ending segment with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins. I can't overlook that. Top of the cage. He does a dive off the top of the cage. We get the obligatory holy moment from the crowd. I think that ending of the main event bumped it back up after a lackluster last hour. I'm actually thinking Raw needs to go back to 2 hours. One of the problems with WCW Nitro was it went to 3 hours, and it's hard to fill and keep people's attention for 3 full hours. And I think it might be time to start considering that. But overall, I'm gonna say 6.5 out of 10. Lee, what would you say?
I give it. I'll match you. I give it a pass. You know, just the little bit that I saw that really had me engaged. I was engaged in those main areas that we talked about earlier, from the steel cage match, Jericho, Wyatt, definitely NXT represented in that 2-on-2 tag match. The main event was on point. No, those is what really kept me around for the whole 3 hours. Not to mention the promo exchange between Cena, Paul Heyman. I'll match you on that. It definitely had got a pass this
So
week.
the question is, fans, what do you think? Right now,
Mm.
live on www.titusmachiavelli.com, the Titus poll will have you give me your thoughts. Share your thoughts on Raw. What would you rate it 1 through 10? And let us know what you think about Monday Night Raw. And we'll share the results next week right here on this show.
Hey, dude, did you hear about that news over the weekend on Ric Flair? Apparently, some former executive head at Ring of Honor, he took some shots at Ric Flair on Twitter. Did you hear about that?
I heard something about that, yeah, but I didn't give it much play. I think taking shots at Ric Flair is.
It's too easy.
I mean, Ric Flair, it's easy to take shots at, but let's also remember what he's done in his career, and I'm not big on, I think it got his name in the headline for a little while.
Yeah. Very strong words. Check it out.
But of course, Ring of Honor just flipped champions this weekend over some terrible reasons.
Champion.
You had to ask that. I just forgot who it was. But
my bad.
But because of I'm thinking about trying baseball, and also we got flipped the champ. I think Ring of Honor is a little. I don't know. They seem a little overly concerned with so many other things than what they should be.
I can tell you right now. I know Michael Elgin
lost the title.
Yeah, he lost the title. Let me see. Buy me some time, Titus. I'm actually looking at the results.
Okay, so go to TitusMachiavelli.com. Give us your thoughts on Raw, and we'll go next week and talk about it. Other than that,
oh damn! Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, Jay Briscoe.
Damn, I can think of that. Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of a quick flop on that, but what are you gonna do? So what kind of comments do we have
to
close out this wonderful episode?
Here, I've been kind of checking it out off and on. Those of you football fans,
no tweets for me. I have not got any tweets tonight.
Like the San Diego Chargers are beating the Arizona Cardinals right now, 17-6 in the third quarter. It's a close game. I just got a tweet. I'll see what that is. I don't know if that's you, Titus.
Nope.
Reza, what are your thoughts on the Sheamus versus Cesaro feud?
Oh, gosh. I completely forgot about that. I'm not big on Sheamus right now. You had Sheamus and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins goes over. What I liked is Cesaro tonight. Cesaro had attitude. He had everything you'd want from a heel. He was arrogant. He was cocky. He was confident. He was brash. He attacked Sheamus post-match. He interfered to cost Sheamus the match. I loved what we saw from Cesaro tonight. I can only hope and pray that we see more of it. I don't even care if he wins at Night of Champions because it's the United States title, and let's be real, it doesn't mean anything. It should be merged with the Intercontinental at this point, which I think should happen soon. But Cesaro was great tonight. Really, really, really a good, strong heel. And I love a good, strong heel. So Cesaro was tremendous tonight, and he gets honorable mention for tonight as he really did a great job tonight.
Jordan, I guess Michael Sam didn't accept the invite letter. Yeah.
It made the news is what they really wanted. They got some cheap press out of it, but he got signed to the Cowboys practice squad, so or whatever it ended up being. So there was no need to have him out there.
Yeah. Joseph, I rated Raw 3 out of 10. I give 2 points for each of those amazing top off the cage jumps. And
well, how do you give 2 points for each jump but only give it 3 points for the show? You're already lost 1 point somewhere.
Yeah, let me continue on here. That's a weird ass rating system.
Moving on. I'm sorry. You gotta add better than that.
Nigel, is WWE losing star power with D. Bryan and CM Punk? Let me finish that up because he didn't attach the end of what he was trying to say properly. Basically, are they losing star power as a result of not having those two guys on their roster?
I don't think so. You've got Lesnar out there who is our champion at the time. People are really paying attention to that. I think that there are plenty of stars ready to come up. Plus, you've got Roman Reigns, who I'm real big about. Seth Rollins is really good. I know we got a little bit of break from Dean Ambrose, but he's tremendous when he comes back from his movie making. I don't think we're shy. I think the difference is we have a chance to see different stars. And as much as CM Punk was about, I want to change the WWE, him leaving did that. Because now CM Punk doesn't have a spotlight over him. That spotlight falls someplace else. And I think that spotlight, and he had a big spotlight, he's a big star, I think it can go on to a couple other people. We're seeing it with Seth Rollins. We're seeing it with Roman Reigns right now. He's handling the pressure well. And I think that, we actually have an opportunity to get some new stars.
If you really think about it, when CM Punk did the infamous pipe bomb and he was ready to take his ball and go home, and you just compare when he re-signed with the WWE, and you just look at everything that was happening with him right on up till he left, he kept saying he wanted to make change and all that, but if you just really play back his time in the WWE, it just really kind of came off like, I want mine. Where's mine? When do I get my turn? And once he did get that turn, I really didn't see what we're seeing right now. It's like everybody else is just, they're all elevated because that's how the Attitude Era was. Like everybody radiated off of one another. They fed off of each other's energy. It's like, did you see what The Rock did? Yo, I gotta try to match that. I mean, what the hell? And they all just tried to match one another, come to that level. And when CM Punk resigned, it just really came off more of a selfish note, at least for me. Now, some of you may disagree, but that's just how it really came. You can even look at Daniel Bryan to a certain extent. You can say that Daniel Bryan was almost in that same situation as CM Punk, but he had such a massive supporting cast that was trying to do everything they could to get him over. And some of the angles that he was involved in, we can admit, very questionable, but he was almost kind of being put in that same type of spotlight. Now that you have those two out of the picture, I mean, the landscape has changed drastically in a big way. I mean, you see guys that are stepping up, they're challenging one another, and I think, honestly, Titus, you look at The Shield, that's the best example right there. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Journey, the SummerSlam special covering The Shield that's on the WWE Network. But if you haven't watched it, that is a really great eye-opening experience. Those of you that's not really familiar with their independent wrestling background and all that, they do a nice little job covering it all. They talk to former Ring of Honor co-owner Gabe Slapowski, a couple of other people. Really good stuff. Check it out. But yeah, man, honestly, I think the WWE product is doing very well right now without those guys. being
I
there.
think it's doing well. And you got some growing to do as well with things, but yeah, it's going really well. And speaking of the network, tonight was an example of how to promote the network. We didn't get any cheap $9.99, $9.99, $9.99s. We got great promos for the network. We had a great promo highlighting NXT. We had some great debuting tonight. History tonight. You watch Edge win the Money in the Bank. You've got the Nitro. They promoted the network very well tonight. That actually would make me, if I hadn't already dropped a dime on it, to look at it. It was not cheap and sleazy like it's been over the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
kudos to WWE. God help you
kudos.
keep doing it.
Big kudos, big kudos. Peter, when Daniel Bryan eventually returns from injury, how do you think he would be included into the fold? Will he be thrown back into the main event card, or would he have to work his way back up? Is there space for him with the likes of Reigns, Rollins, Ambrose, etc., increase in popularity? Short answer to that question is in due time. Honestly, when you have a situation of an injury like what Daniel Bryan had, correct me if I'm wrong, Titus, I think Daniel has to go under the knife for a second time, and his prognosis is not good. I mean, originally this guy was expected sometime before this year was out. Now it's being said this guy might not be coming back until maybe as early as spring next year. Some are saying maybe summer of next year. It just really depends on how fast his rehabbing goes. Honestly, when he does come back, I think WWE, they're just going to be very cautious with him. They're going to do the baby step dance, test him out for a few months, and if he can stay healthy, then maybe you can see him get back in that main event scene. But I don't think they're going to just throw him in there off the break.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Because we go from an injury where we weren't sure how long he'd be out, and he doesn't defend his title for a little while, giving him the chance to get second opinions, to he's going to have to surrender the title because he's got surgery. Now reports are additional surgeries and not making Mania next year. Let's be real. You put a ton of time invested in Daniel Bryan from SummerSlam last year to WrestleMania had that payoff. That's a full 6-month long storyline. You built everything around him, and just when you hand him the reins to the horse, he has to let the reins go. And WWE has storylines that go for months at a time, and they had to rebuild and go another direction. So they're going to be cautious, and they should be, because the last thing you want to do is put those that back in somebody's hand and them not be ready or incapable of it. Let's be real. It's possible that Daniel Bryan's career is over. It's a possibility, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that he had a long career on the indie circuit as well, so he's taken 10,000 bumps, and your body's not designed to do that.
Almost kind of reminds you of Double A, don't it?
In some ways, my career, and then all of a sudden, it's over. How did it just end? I was just doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Kenny, WWE should bring in the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. I know he's been there before, but he would have great matches with Cesaro, Lesnar, Sheamus. What do you guys think? He would also go on to say, Lee and Titus do a great job. WWE should look at you for a pre- and post-show. Yeah, I appreciate that, but they probably would really want us to do a lot of and a lot of brought to you by Deer Park Water, Subway. Get 60% off when you use the code. No, thank you.
They have my number, but they've never called me.
if the price is right, give me a call. What do you think about that,
Matt,
though?
I like Matt Morgan. I think that he has a good upside. I think that there's also a bad side to Matt Morgan, and it's maybe it's somewhat of a limiting ability. Maybe it's a lack of something. I don't know what it is. It's that it factor that's missing from him. But I think he could have a good run. I don't think he wants the run. I honestly don't. He's not out there trying to get a lot of independent bookings. He's not doing a lot of stuff. I don't think Matt Morgan's interested. And I think Matt Morgan has already had his run, and they're not using him. The best guy on the independent scene is AJ Styles, and they're not giving him a look whatsoever either. So they've got a nice pipeline of talent for the next 10 years. They don't need to go searching for retread WWE/TNA talent. They just don't need it.
Brad had this to say, very interesting question. The IWC has for years claimed that John Cena books himself to win as often as he has. After the squash match with Lesnar at SummerSlam, what are the chances the IWC will give him any credit for it, and will their attitudes towards him change moving forward? Short answer, highly it can if he loses to Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions.
I think zero chance that they'll give him any credit or change their opinion whatsoever.
Even if he loses to Lesnar at Night of Champions?
Even if he does, because I think that the argument can be made that, well, it's Brock Lesnar, he has a humongous contract, and he has to be put over, and I personally see a different sort of John Cena than someone else sees, and that's okay. I just don't think that the hate is necessary, but there are some in the IWC that will just never like John Cena no matter what. And I think Cena alluded to that tonight. If he actually turned heel the way some in the IWC want him to do, all they're going to do is say the next day, well, John Cena's a sellout. He doesn't believe in what he believes anyways. So it's a lose-lose situation for John Cena in some ways. There are those out there that just don't like him. And that's not going to change, period.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? David really didn't get the chance to see the season premiere of Raw because I was watching the season premiere of Monday Night Football. The one match I got to see in its entirety was the tag team match with the NXT guys. That Adrian Neville character is awesome. I haven't seen moves like that in a while. If you aren't watching NXT, go watch it.
If they're not watching NXT, something's wrong with you.
Yeah, go watch it. Go watch it. Let's see. What else we got here? We'll look at two more here, Titus. Hellbound. This is the first Raw I didn't watch in a long time. The two previous weeks sucked, and with every single entertaining wrestler either injured or misused, Raw isn't interesting. Bad news, Barrett injured, CM Punk gone, Daniel Bryan injured, Dean Ambrose injured, Cesaro Ryback, Titus O'Neil, jobbers. Jericho Wyatt was the only thing I was looking forward to, and although Reigns is a badass, a rematch is not exactly enough to grab my attention. Until Ambrose comes back, Raw isn't exactly a priority.
I want you to go back and say the beginning part of that again. With all the good talent hurt, say that again for me.
This is the first Raw I didn't watch in a long time. The two previous weeks sucked, and with every single entertaining wrestler either injured or misused, Raw isn't interesting.
Well, then I think you absolutely missed the best parts of Raw. I'll go back to the segment with John Cena and Heyman. He was tremendous. It takes two to tango, so it wasn't just because of Heyman. I think the NXT match was the match. I mean, if Bray and Y2J wasn't a match tonight, the NXT was. I think we saw Cesaro be used properly tonight. there's a lot of things that go on in wrestling, guys, that you don't understand because it's how how wrestling does things, especially WWE. They're going to sometimes bottom a wrestler out to see if there's still interest before they push him up. Cesaro was bottomed, and fans still wanted him. So they're starting to, okay, well, he's been bottomed, and the fans still want him. That's real interest. If you bottom a guy and people don't pay attention anymore, then that wasn't real interest. Zack Ryder's a good example of that. A lot of love for Zack Ryder. They were riding the Ryder wave, bottomed him, and who quit watching? No, the Ryder or Riot signs started to disappear. The interest was gone. The YouTube interest disappeared, and it was over because it wasn't real interest. Cesaro has real interest. They bottomed him. Interest was still there. Ziggler, another great little segment tonight. Ziggler was great tonight. How you missed him being entertaining? I thought he was entertaining tonight. Miz was entertaining tonight. Miz is a heel in the absolute truest form. He is a heel. You want to hate him. You do hate him because he comes off icky. He comes off to be that's a technical term too. Icky. He comes off hated. I think there's a lot of positive things to talk about Raw. Just don't talk to me about after the Springer segment.
Yeah. Eric, he had a very good question right here. Around various forums at times, you hear about Kevin Dunn. Kevin Dunn buried this guy. Kevin Dunn buried this diva. Kevin Dunn fights Triple H. Kevin Dunn convinces Vince to do this or that stupid thing, so on and so on. Can you guys shed any factual light on these rumors? Short answer, no. One thing I'm proud to say, I will never claim myself to be an insider. I have friends and colleagues that work in the industry, but that's about as much as I'm going to be able to say unless I'm able to come across a nice piece of juicy news from them and I can share it with you guys and, it's 100% accurate, but I'm not going to claim to be an insider. I don't have an answer to that except to focus on one key word that you said at the very end. Rumors. So until Kevin Dunn does a shoot DVD, then again, that's his side of the story. There's always the colleagues in the WWE that's worked with him, Vince McMahon, so forth. We'll really never know, unfortunately.
Well, the thing about Kevin Dunn is he's a powerful person within WWE. He's the director and producer, to some degree. He's the director of the show. I mean, and he's done that since the Attitude Era. So on one hand, I hate Kevin Dunn. He buries these people, but boy, he didn't bury anybody in the Attitude Era. So it's rumor, it's conjecture. Does he have power? Hell yeah, he does. But remember, it all focuses around the name McMahon, and for that I also include Helmsley or Levesque or however you want. It's McMahon. It always comes back to that. Kevin Dunn can say, I hate this guy, he's horrible, but if Vince likes the guy, it's a done deal.
I'm reading a comment on music. I see wrestling names mentioned. Well, let me read it and we'll see if it's even relevant. The Korean music industry is shocked that they lost K-pop female stars from a group of ladies' code. Of them, our identity as Korean would never get to the point. Blah, blah, blah. Both had a future in the business ahead of them, and it was taken away too soon. Whether anyone in the music... Also, okay, so you're talking about something totally irrelevant. You meet the block button, because that like... You're talking about Korean music. I don't know what the hell is up with that. Lee, I'd like to hear Titus' thoughts on what Global Force could be. Here we go again with the talk of Global Force. A promotion that has not done anything yet, right? Basically, they've shown you this very nice, colorful brochure, and they've said, don't you like the way we're doing this? Don't you like what's going to happen with this in 20 years? Do you see
Here's
how
my argument on Global Force. I haven't talked a lot about it. And there was, Jeff Jarrett put out tweets tonight with him and AJ, and, here's the deal. I personally sent communications to Jeff Jarrett, haven't gotten a response of any kind, so, I'm not invested in any way.
Okay.
He has presented us with a very delicious looking cake. Looks good. Haven't tasted it.
There
and
you
until
go.
I can taste it, I can't talk about it. Because at this point, Jeff hasn't run a single match. Can he? Hell yeah, he can. He's done it. It's in his blood. His father did it for decades. Hell yeah. Let me get some. Let me get a match. Let me get something. Until he does, man, it's nothing until you actually put together a roster. Hey, man, I can open up a website tonight. Before tomorrow, the sun is rose, I will have Titus Wrestling Federation, and these are the things that we're going to do, and this is what it's going to look like, and I'm going to have partnerships with this company and that company, and until I run a show, I'm not a wrestling show. So Jeff Jarrett is not a promoter. He's an independent wrestling star at this point. I hope that changes. That's all I have to say.
Good words right there, man. Good words right there. Nigel, to answer your question, no. Send a link. I'll definitely check it out. And I think that's going to do it. Titus, I'll give you the final word, man. Take us on home.
I think it's a positive Raw tonight over the last couple of weeks because it's been said. Raw was a lackluster and possibly the worst Raw of the year last week. Better promos, more believable promos, better matches. It was overall more interesting to watch tonight. Had Jericho come off the top of a steel cage. Did a great job of that. You had Adrian Neville solidify himself as a future WWE stars in the NXT match. Seth Rollins, of course, at the top of the cage. I think it was a very positive overall show, much better than what 3 stars. It was a 6.5 star show. Some down parts, but things we have to go through. I'm hopeful that next week's Go Home episode before Night of Champions plays upon this and builds upon it. I think it's going really well. Got to make sure to plug NXT, boy. I think the takeover is going to be huge. You're going to see the future of WWE this Thursday on Takeover. It's going to be awesome. By all means, it's going to be worth watching. So that's my take. I'm happy with Raw overall. Could have done without some of it, but that's you take the good with the bad every single week.
That's what's up. I like that. I think we'll end the show on that note. So we got the radio edition of the RCWR show that's going to be on this Tuesday night or later tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us for that. We'll dive into the very latest and some good sports talk. I'll definitely sign off a little bit more on this whole Ray Rice crap and all that good stuff. So join us for that. TNA Wrestling fans, we got your hookup right here on YouTube this Wednesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on New Impact Showdown. Make sure you join us for that. And be kind, man. Follow Titus on Twitter at Evil Genius Titus. You can also give us a follow on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions. Check out that Titus Machiavelli poll. That's a good poll. I'm actually going to cast my vote on that. And that's going to do it. Make sure you give this piece a thumbs up. Share it a number of ways. Check out all the links in this episode description. And that's going to do it. He's Titus Machiavelli. Lee Sanders here. Wishing all y'all to be safe and be kind to one another. We will see you next go round. Everybody, take care.
Good night.